unknown. Okay, I know I didn't say let x be the unknown, but it should be easy to see, I hope. But x miles over 35 gallons, miles over gallons, that rate is our speed, the speed of our car. You know, in other words, it's the same rate as the 15 miles per gallon. We're driving 15 miles per gallon. We're driving X miles per 35 gallons. You know, the rates both deal with the same number, the speed of the car. So they have to equal each other. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say why they're equal to each other. Now, once you get that, again, you take the units out and you get this. Notice also you have to be careful in that corresponding spots are the same units. So you have 15 miles over gallon, you have X miles over 35 gallons. You want to make sure corresponding spots have the same units. So you don't want 35 over X on the right side here. That would be wrong. But anyway, we have this, as you can see, and we want to figure out what X is. Okay, that's no big deal. We just cross multiply. We get X on the right side. We get 15 times 35 on the left. I think that's 5. I think if I remember correctly, that's 525. And I'm right. So we get X is 525 miles. So this is solving it using proportions, which really is the same. In the long run, it's really the same idea as with the factor label method. We're multiplying, but I think with proportions, like as we're doing here, it's a little bit easier to see what's happening. At least I hope it is. Okay. So we have our answer here. Okay, that's good. There we go. Now, yes, I know we use the unit rate here, okay? I know that we use the unit rate, but we actually didn't have to. Namely, if we use the original rate, which is the 300 miles over 20 gallons, you know, if you go back to, let me go back to it. The first rate we had here, you could use that one too. Namely, you would have this on the left side, right? This would be the speed at which we're driving. And again, just like before, this is also the speed at which we're driving, this rate. Both rates give us the same thing, so they're equal. This again, units are in, excuse me, corresponding spots have the same units, okay? You know, the top is miles, the bottom is gallons. Okay, so how do we get X? Just like before, we cross multiply. By cross multiplying, right? Again, the units are gone now. By cross multiplying, we get this. And of course, what is X? Well, we divide by 20, and we get 20 times X is this. Then we divide by 20. Basically, you're going to end up with the same thing, what X is. There's a little bit more calculation, but it's not terrible. All right. Let me just check something. I don't think it's frozen, so okay, good. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go to number 3. I wanted to check to see if it froze. I'm just so scared of it freezing, people not being able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's number 3. We want to know gallons are needed to drive 30 miles. Okay, so we can solve this using proportions. I mean, before, the unknown was how many miles we went. Here, the unknown is the number of gallons of gasoline. In other words, we have this. I mean, here I'm using the rate 300 over 20, 300 miles over 20 gallons, but that's okay. Again, what's unknown here, let me get that laser here. What's unknown is the amount of gasoline, excuse me, the number of gallons of gasoline. But it's the same idea. We're going 30, we're driving 30 miles, okay, over X gallons of gasoline. Well, that rate, okay, that's a rate dealing with, you know, us driving, right? How far we can get per gallon, just like this rate is. So both rates are equal. Both of them deal with how many miles per gallon our car is getting. So they both have to equal. So again, how do we get X? Cross multiply. Again, we had the units in the same spot, corresponding spot, excuse me. We have our proportion, okay? And we can cross multiply. Namely, we have this by cross multiplying X times 300. On the right, we have 20 times 30, as you can see. So this is what we get. 300 times X is 600. And from here, you probably can see what the answer is, but if you can't, that's okay. You just divide, okay? Right, so from here, okay, let me go back. So from here again, came from the previous line. We divide because we want X, not 300 times X. And then we get X is 600 over 300, which of course is 2. So we get 2 gallons. Okay. Now I know some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, couldn't you just cancel a 0 on the left side and then cancel the numerators? You could have done that if you wanted to. Again, I don't know everyone's math background here, so I'm trying to err on the side of caution, so to say. I mean, there is more than one way to solve a proportion. I just thought cross multiplying is easiest. It's going to work no matter what. All right, so we do have another example. Okay, before I get to this one, let me just stop for a second.